So you got quite a lot of love from the video we done about Lucy Letby, and a few people asked what you had done, what crime like to be in prison, and they also asked me as well. Guys, my video's already down on my channel, so you can check that out. So yeah, so here we are. So I appreciate you taking your time out to do this with me. So do you want to just
Mhm.
start by telling us what you was charged with and how long you were sentenced?
Yeah, so I was charged with conspiracy to supply Class A and I received an 8-year prison sentence. So served 4 years in prison and the remainder 4 years on license in the community.
Wow. So yeah, quite a harsh sentence then. How much did you get
Yeah.
caught with?
I got arrested with a kilo of cocaine and then there was other, because it was a conspiracy charge, so obviously there was other people on the charge with us. So um, they was caught with a significant amount of drugs on them as well. And then on top of that, with it being a conspiracy, they don't even necessarily have to catch you with any drugs in your or drugs or money in your possession. They just have to prove that you had the intention
Yeah.
um, to do that.
So did they have like evidence of you selling more than just that? Because obviously that's quite harsh. You got a harsher sentence than what I did, and I got caught with 7 key of Class A.
Yeah, so because we was under observation for an 18-month period, so during that time they would have seen us meeting or interacting with other people. And those other people may have been arrested previously, or they may have been known to the police for whatever reason. Um, so, and if they saw an exchange take place, they were then able to say, um, this was drugs or money.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit
So they sentenced us on the basis that over an 18-month period, then there would have been a significant amount of drugs.
yeah, no, that's understandable. Do you want us to tell us a little bit like how you got involved in that?
Yeah, so obviously it's not never something that I've ever been involved in, would have never have found myself in that situation before. The only reason I got involved was due to a relationship that I was in at the time, which was extremely controlling and abusive. And he had previous for doing that, which I was unaware of. Um, and yeah, he ended up getting me involved. So, but prior to that, always worked, always had good jobs, um, went to school, went to college, never even got so much as a parking ticket previously. So yeah, it was all kind of really, you could say, just I just fell in love with the wrong person and yeah, found myself in that situation.
Do you feel like you was manipulated into doing it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because obviously I'm not stupid. You know what you're doing is wrong. And I fully accept that. Held my hands up to it. Obviously went guilty at, sorry, this is a horn outside. Went guilty at the earliest opportunity, very much said, what what I did was wrong. But unfortunately, when you're in a situation like that, that is so controlling, you're not actually thinking for yourself, you're thinking for the other person. So the decisions that you would normally make in life, you're not making those right choices because you're living on eggshells. You're nervous all the time. You don't know what's going to happen to you. It's basically you're in survival mode all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of women and men can relate to that. You definitely won't be the only one out there. I think we've all
Yeah.
been in
No,
a
exactly. And I've received a lot of, I've had lots of conversations with different women who unfortunately have been in similar situations, not necessarily surrounding drugs or even received a prison sentence, but obviously just understanding, how being in a relationship like that can affect you in, such a way.
yeah, no, of course. Yeah. Um yeah, it's awful. So do you feel like even though jail's probably the worst thing that could have happened, do you think it was a bit of a godsend as well? at the same
Yeah,
time.
100%. From the moment as I was arrested, I felt like a weight had been lifted off me. So I really felt like that was the lesser of two evils, if you like. So if I didn't end up in prison, who knows if I would even be sitting here now to tell the story. Um, so yeah, I now obviously at the time it doesn't feel like a very positive situation to be in, but now looking back, all these years later, it definitely saved my life.
Good. Well, not good that you went to prison, but it's good. At least there's some good come out of bad. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
definitely.
So tell us a little bit about the day you got arrested then. What happened?
So I was driving. I didn't even that day. I was trying to move away from it all, so I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. I pleaded with him to not have me involved anymore. I really don't want anything to do with it. Um, and initially, he had agreed. And on this particular day, he called me, and he's basically asked me to do one last thing for him. And I said, I told you I don't want to do it anymore. And he said, please, 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 I just need you to do this one last thing for me. And I eventually, after him pushing and pushing, I caved and I agreed. But I just, in something in myself, I could feel that it wasn't right. I knew I shouldn't have gone out that day.
Yeah.
Um, but I did. And yeah, I met someone, then I was going on my way to go meet someone else. And as I was driving, I was surrounded by 5 unmarked police cars, all undercover officers. And they jumped out of the car, surrounded me. They basically boxed me in. And then one of the officers just started banging on the window, get out of the fucking car. Obviously, I was like shocked by it all. I was like, what,
Yeah,
me?
I know it's the same happened
Um,
to me.
and then yeah, got out the car. But then and they said to me, is there any drugs in the car? And I said, yeah. Told him where it was, and he's shocked. He looked at me as if to say, like, what? Like, I don't think he really thought that I was gonna say that. Maybe in most cases people deny it or act like they don't know. Yeah, but then obviously I told him, and then instantly I was just like, it's over. Like, it's done now. Like, that's it. There's no coming back from this. Um, and then yeah, I just so from there they took me to the police station. Obviously checked me in. I spent 2 nights in a police station. And then on the Saturday, that was a Thursday evening, and then on the Saturday morning, I appeared in court, but obviously it just goes to magistrates initially, and then due to the nature of the offence, it was thrown out and sent to Crown. So, but I was remanded straight away. So from the moment I was arrested, I didn't come back outside again. I went straight to prison from the court, and that's where I was on remand for 6 months in Holloway prison, and then from there I went for sentencing, and then after sentencing I was transferred to Bronzefield.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about Holloway, literally, because I've been involved in the drug world since I was a kid, and obviously you always hear the rooms. I used to hear some horrific rumors, and I never ever forget when I went to jail the first time. It was only for like 11 days, but I went down to the dock and I said to the woman, I was like, I'm not, am I going to Holloway? Am I going to Holloway? And she was like, nah, no, you won't be going to Holloway. It'll be Bronzefield or somewhere else. And I was just like, phew, that whole relief. Because I literally heard so many horror stories. So please, because I don't know what Holloway was like, please tell me.
Well, to be fair, I had exactly the same thing. When I knew that I was going to Holloway, I spoke to my mum and I thought I was going to die. I said to her, am I going to die? And she was like, no, Emily. She
Oh,
said,
bless you.
don't worry. She was like, you're going to be okay. Um, and yeah, I would just thought, what the hell am I going into? I had no idea. Obviously, I'd heard all of these stories. And yeah, ended up getting there. But initially, when I arrived there, I didn't know how to behave. Obviously, I'd never been in that situation before, but I just thought, you know what? I need to just protect myself, so I didn't really speak to anybody. And I was put in a cell with my co-D, which is unusual. It's not something that normally happens. But they put us in a cell together. So, but I didn't actually know her. But we just kind of automatically connected, I think, obviously, with being on the same charge with each other. And so we kind of found comfort in each other. And so me and her, we didn't leave our cell for days. Like, we literally came out of the cell to get our food and to go on a visit. But other than that, we did not want to go out of the cell. We would queue up for our dinner, like straight face, didn't look at no one, didn't talk to no one,
Head down.
because I just didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who was
No.
who. My dad and my brothers came on a visit. Obviously, they'd heard loads of stories about it as well, and they just said to me, Emily, if anyone tries it with you, anyone attacks you, just keep punching. Just it feels like you just have to protect yourself. Just whatever you do, just keep punching. And I was like, oh, great, thanks. And they said, no, you might end up going down a seg or whatever, getting in trouble. But the best thing to do is just to protect yourself.
100%, yeah.
But fortunately, nothing like that happened. I didn't end up finding myself in any. I had a couple of arguments, but no fights or anything. And I then actually became really comfortable there. I actually thought it was okay. It really wasn't everything that I heard about. Maybe obviously things do happen, but it's not constant. It's not every single day. And I've always said that if it didn't shut down, I probably would have done my whole sentence there, to be honest with you. I mean, it was a very run-down prison in comparison to others. Obviously, it was old. Um,
How many was
the
how many of you
Pardon?
was in one room? How many, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. How
That's
many
all right.
was there in one room? Because I don't think they have single cells there?
No, yeah, they did, but uh, they only had maybe like three on each wing, three or four maybe single cells on each wing, and they were for like really high risk offenders. So initially I was in a double when I first got there, so just me and one other girl, and then that was on the induction wing, and then when we moved up to one of the other landings, I was in a 5 bed. I was in a 5 bed dorm.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So that was interesting.
Did you all get on and like, could you leave? Like, because in Bronzefield, where we could just on the house block we lived on, we could just leave our doors open, and no one would go in your room. But like, how was it in there? Was it really bad for stealing? Could you have your stuff? Was your stuff safe with the girls that you were in there? And did you like get on? Did you argue?
Well, you see, the difference is, well, when I was in the dorm, I was okay because I was still in with my Cody, and then to some of the other girls, one was a problem because she was an older lady and she used to smoke tea bags. So like in the middle of the night,
No.
she one night I woke up, I couldn't breathe. I was like, what's going on? Because at that time you was able to smoke in prison. The smoking ban hadn't come in.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on? I can't actually breathe. And then the other woman, Maria, I remember her name, and she said to me, she's smoking tea bags. I was like, what? I'd never heard anything in my life. And I said to her, you need to put that out. I said, that's disgusting. Like, you cannot be smoking tea bags. Like, I feel like I'm dying right now. And so yeah, that was a problem. But she ended up moving out. It wasn't too bad. But you would keep most people kept like anything that could be of interest, tobacco, your sweets, crisps, all that kind of snack stuff was locked away in a side table. So you have just your little key that you'd lock away in that. But your cell doors never locked. Like in Bronzefield, you could come out of your room and lock your door.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that in Holloway. So once you was unlocked of the morning, they then like turned the handle so the thing was always out,
Oh
on the
yeah.
door.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to close the door, so your door would be open all day until you was locked back up again. So you would have to lock your important stuff away. Yeah.
Yeah, in Send we used to have like a little metal box and it'd be on the wall, so you used to
Yeah.
lock yourself in there. Did you
Yeah.
see any fights in Holloway?
Um, I saw not really fights with other women. I remember there was a one girl and she just went on a mad one and she squirted baby oil all officers outside the office and just started. So then obviously if they came out of the office, they would obviously all fall over. Um, but yeah, just people kind of kicking off, but not
Just the
people
usual.
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So how long was you in Holloway for?
6 months, I was there.
Oh, not long then. And
No,
then
not too long. And it
obviously,
was only 6 months because they ended up closing down. So the day that I left there to go for sentencing, um, was the last day they stopped then taking any new prisoners. So from there, you anyone that was then convicted or sent to prison from court would go to Bronzefield, obviously if it was in that area.
mm.
Yeah.
So obviously from there you went to Bronzefield. How did you find that?
A lot different to obviously Holloway. Um, Set up completely different. Um, wasn't really a fan, to be honest, of Bronzefield overall. Because I feel like with Holloway there was a good line between staff and prisoners. That there wasn't like you wouldn't if you were seen in the office in Holloway talking to the officers too often, you would be classed as a snitch. Whereas Bronzefield was completely different. You would have officers sitting in your room drinking tea and
Having their
um,
hair done.
you're having their hair done and doing God knows whatever. Um, so yeah, I didn't really like that, and I found that the officers in Holloway was a lot more. They was consistent with how
Mm.
they treated people, whereas I didn't find that in Bronzefield. There was a lot of inconsistencies.
Yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
when you got into Bronzefield, did you go on main block? Which
Um,
anyone wonders what main block is, it's just where everyone's mixed up. It's not like you've got kind of like different blocks, haven't you, in Bronzefield? You've got House Block 1, which is recovery. So if you go
mhm.
into the prison with drugs, you live on there, and that is a whole different world. I know
Yeah,
we're going to go into that one. And then you got
sorry for today.
House Block 2 and House Block 3, which you'd like class as main block. So it's just a whole mixture
Yeah,
of different girls. And then you'd have
yeah.
House Block 4, which was a privilege wing. When we was there, you had to earn the right to live on there. So did you go straight onto main block or did you go into House Block 4?
Yeah, so initially I went to House Block 2, like most people, to A Spur, the induction wing. Um, and I was there I wasn't even there for long. I don't even know if I was on there for a week. Um, and the reason being is because where Holloway was closing in Bronzefield, obviously there was a lot more single cells, but they had to create doubles in order to facilitate the extra prisoners that they were now going to receive because, like the small doubles, the beds were only obviously put in there to be able to accommodate them because all the prisoners that would have gone to Holloway were now going to go to Bronzefield. Um, and when I was in Holloway, I got my enhancement. So obviously, I went from being just a standard prisoner, but through good behaviour and receiving IEPs, I then was able to get my enhancement. So, obviously having additional clothing, extra things like straighteners and all that kind of stuff. Um, and they carried that over to Bronzefield. So when I got to Bronzefield, I was still classed as an enhanced prisoner. That doesn't always happen. I don't know if it happened just because Holloway had closed. because normally you go to a new prison and you usually do have to start the process again. But I didn't have to, so I was still down as an enhanced prisoner. And then on one particular day, an officer approached me and said, "Oh, do you want to go to House Block 4? You know, it's a privileged house block. You know, it's a great place to be. You've got a shower in your room, all this kind of stuff." But I'd heard stories, as you do, as soon as you get there, people saying the kind of people that live on House Block 4, those of the worst crimes. And I was like, no, I'm not going there. Don't want to be on there. Can't be on there. I'd rather stay here. And he was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Went away. 10 minutes later, came back and he was like, "You're going to House Block 4." I was like, "No, I'm not." He was like, "Yes, you are. It's now a direct order. You have to go." Gave me my bags and told me to pack my stuff, and off I went to House Block 4. So I didn't have a choice by that stage because they needed the bed space. So they obviously had to select certain prisoners that they would think would be suited on House Block 4.
God. So just quickly, I'm just going to drop in. Anyone that's commenting, guys, I'm not ignoring you. Obviously, I'm doing this podcast with Emily for my YouTube channel. So at the end of it, if you've got any questions or anything, or you want to rewrite what you've written, then please do. I'm just letting you know I'm not being rude. So before you moved on to House Block 4, Emily, did you see anything on House Block 2? Like, did you live with any crazy people? Did you see any fights? Anything like that?
When I was on House Block 2, did you say?
Yeah, before you got onto the fours, was there like,
Um, no, I didn't see any fights again. I feel like I was quite lucky throughout my whole prison experience where I didn't really see um, anything serious like that. I'd heard stuff that was going on, but I didn't really see anything crazy. When I was on the house block, it was just rowdiness, you know, just loud, you know, people acting crazy. Um, but yeah, I didn't really see anything that exciting. Well, not it's not exciting, but you know.
yeah, no, I know, but it's always that little bit of drama, like, and something goes
Yeah.
down or you
Well,
see someone they're not
anything
outside.
to be different to a standard day would make it better. Obviously, everything was so regimented that if something happened that was different, it was good, wasn't it? So,
The link's on my bio, guys. Just click the link on my bio and it'll take you to my YouTube channel. So you moved on to House Block 4. How did that feel?
and yeah, that was a lot. It was quite daunting. It, didn't again. I was back in a position where I thought, who can I talk to? Who do I talk to? Because who's acceptable to talk to? Because
Can't
I
I?
didn't know who was there, what they were there for.
Mm.
So yeah, that was definitely interesting. But obviously, like you know what it's like when you're there, people start talking, and it doesn't take long for you to figure out who's who and what their offences are. So then by then I was then able to kind of navigate my way through and find the right
Right,
people
but
that I
that
talk
one,
to.
that one.
To be fair,
What a dodge
you
in there.
you know you know me anyway that throughout my prison time, like I kind of pretty much kept myself to myself anyway. There was only certain people that I would actually go and spend my time with. Um, and if I wasn't with them, then I was probably on my own. But I wouldn't just chill with any old Tom, Dick, and Harry.
No. Obviously, I know who we lived on House Block 4 with, so do you want to enlighten some names that we had to live amongst on there?
So, oh, you want me to actually say the names of some of them?
You don't have to if you want to,
Okay.
but I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
so, well,
What was the most horrific crime, like, and person that you had to live on the same house block as? Who would you say?
anyone child related is obviously a big deal. So whether that be a ring, a big ring, or whether it be a child killer, um, yeah, anything related to children or young or vulnerable people was probably the most difficult for me. And obviously, having had a child myself, it was, it's just, that was the hardest for me. And especially when you know their crimes and, you know, you don't expect that of a woman. You know, she shouldn't, it just should not even come into your brain. Um, so yeah, I found that really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned it before on the last video that we done, and
Mm.
you know, I was blown away by the amount of women paedophiles and like children killers. And to be fair, I didn't even really know it was such a big thing in the female side of it. I don't know, maybe I just live in like cuckoo land, but I was blown away by the amount.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you remember when I first moved on. We didn't really speak at first. I think I moved on. Did I move on Sea Wing first? All I remember is I was very new on House Block 4. My neighbour was Lou. I don't know
Mm.
what her actual everyone reminds me, but I always forget who her and her partner killed the kids in the fire.
Marie.
Opposite me, I had um, what's the girl's name that walked on the bus with the baby that was dead? I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name either.
I had her opposite me. Um, and then I had downstairs, I had Lucy Wolf. That
Mm.
was in there for. She was selling sex tapes to children, I think she was.
She
I
was a
literally,
nanny.
I mean, three. That's three off the top of my head on one wing. Never
Mm.
mind walking down the other two wings, and there was probably more on there.
Yeah.
Um, with that, yeah, I was blown away when I moved on there. It was something else.
Mm. Definitely. It was.
So I just remember my first Christmas dinner on House Block 4. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I was quite new. I was quite new on there, wasn't I? I don't think. No, I was. I've been there a couple of months, two,
A
3 months.
couple
I
of
think
months.
we must
Yeah.
have made friends at this point.
Yeah.
I think we started speaking on a visit, didn't we? I think it was going for a visit one day. That's how we met, and we were sat in the bit. Oh, I don't know what we was doing, but we were sat. Wait, yeah, we must have been going on a visit. And you know when you
Waiting
go.
in one of the holding rooms, waiting to go into the visit.
No, we were sat on the bench.
Oh, in mainstream.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were sat there, and then I think we just spoke from then. And then obviously we just got on. I think we got similar personalities.
Yeah.
We just kind of gelled from there. So, but yeah, I remember my first Christmas dinner, and we sat, and literally like just to the side opposite me, I'm sat eating my Christmas dinner with Joanne Dennehy. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like Dennehy,
Like,
Dennehy,
what is going
but
on here?
and I'm sat there like, all right, I got a serial killer in front of me. Although I'm doing the hand motion.
I know. It's such a
I got
surreal. It's
yeah, I
so
got
surreal, isn't it?
I don't know, and it's like right down the other end, you got like maybe a bloody paedophile or something like that. Like
Yeah.
it's just mental, just absolutely mental of how many you're just surrounded by in different crimes. And obviously, when you think in reality, I can't believe I was that dumb to not expect that, but I just didn't.
Mhm. No, you're not done. I think happens to a lot of us.
So how did you get through your sentence? Like how did you make it easy for yourself, do you think?
Um, I think trying to obviously firstly surround yourself with people that you can trust, um, and obviously keeping just a select few people around you. I think that's really important because I think I noticed that people who was putting themselves out there and involved in everybody's business, they ended up being always in some sort of drama, which is something that I really wanted to avoid because I just didn't have the headspace to deal with that as well. And writing, music, reading, just trying to find things to really take up my time or anything that I would kind of enjoy doing, however long it lasted, I would do it just, to kill some time. So yeah, I think that's the main thing. Just kind of trying to keep as busy as you can,
Hmm.
getting involved, working, of an evening, going to church, going to the gym, just whatever I could kind of be involved in. Um, yeah, I tried to at the same time.
did you like have any fights with anyone? Did you fall out with anybody? Like, did you find people that like you thought was your friend and then stabbed you in the back? Did you have any of them sort of
Yeah,
experiences?
yeah, I had quite a few of those actually. And as time went on, it then become I was then just, even if I did start talking to someone, I was very reluctant with, you know, how much I told them about me, because it's difficult, isn't it? When you're in there, you find when you're having conversations with people, you find a lot of the time you're talking about life outside of prison. You're talking about what you used to get up to, and places that you used to go, or you might find someone that the same people, so then you would kind of have conversations, um and because the prison was close to an area that I had lived in, or close to the areas that I grew up in, I met quite a few people that was from that we knew the same people outside. So yeah, you kind of find yourself just having those conversations. But as time went on, that's one thing that I would say is, just being, if I had known what I learned a lot sooner, I probably wouldn't have opened up so much about my life to, a few people. I would have just kept it to myself, because when someone turns on you or decides, that, there's some kind of issue going on, and you've trusted them with information on yourself, I think that's the shitty side of it, really. But then on the flip side, you can find people that end up obviously being that you'll be lifelong friends with.
Mm.
So
Yeah, it is. I get that because when I first went in, I was quite like, I was oblivious to it all. You don't realize how many people like turn on you and stuff like that. And it
mm,
does take a few little lessons to realize, right, hang on, I need to really like back off and
yeah.
withheld how much I'm going to share with people and stuff like that. Did you
And the
have,
true test, I think, was when a lot of people that I became friends with, they ended up getting released before I did. So it was a thing where seeing as well who stays in contact with you. People promise you the world when you're in there together, and then when you're not, you don't hear from them again. So yeah, I think it's just kind of taking that into consideration and seeing that as well.
and don't you find that the hardest? That when people do that, I had, and they've been in the situation. I had my best friend Max, and I always say it. Sadly, she passed away in prison 2 months after I got out, and
Yeah.
she was a lifer. And I watched people promise her the world, like literally, like, yeah, when I get out, I'm going to send you trainers. Like, she didn't have a lot. She lost a lot of family while she was in prison as well,
Mm,
and literally, like, I would watch people. I'd listen to them, and they
mm,
would all just never, just not even bother emailing her. They wouldn't bother like going through with their thing. And then it'd even get down to like Max's like really close friend, and she'd be like, yeah, I'd never do that to you, I'd never do that to you. And then she'd done the exact same. And
mm,
like, I don't get it. The minute I got out, I sent her money. It wasn't a lot. I emailed her, and she's like, I knew you wouldn't do this, and it's like, you've been there. It's
mm,
more hurtful when someone's come from prison and they promise to do this and promise to do that, and they don't, like,
yeah.
and it's just, it shocks you because these people I watched, they were Max's like really close friends, and I
Mm,
just found it baffled me. Like, how can you just do that to someone, especially knowing their situation? And she was such a good friend to everyone. She just made everyone laugh every day, always there
mm,
for everybody. And then they just literally like shat on her, and it's a horrible
yeah.
thing to watch. But also, you mentioned about people going. Don't you find that the worst when you get friends with someone and you get close, and then they leave? Oh, that's
Yeah, no. Yeah, that is difficult. Obviously, I was always happy for them. I was so always happy for anyone really that was getting out. I was happy for them. But at the same time, when you are close to someone and they leave, and especially if you're in a cell with them and you're comfortable with each other, and
yeah,
they leave, and then you have to deal with them leaving, and then also the thought of who's coming in my room now.
I know.
So then you're unsettled again, and then you have to get back knowing how someone lives, and if they're as tidy as you or as clean as you, or um, yeah, lots of, obviously everyone's got weird habits and stuff, like, so um, I remember this one girl I was sharing a room with, and she used to eat crisps so loud. Like, that's my pet hate anyway, someone eating a bag of crisps. And oh my gosh, she used to put the crisp to her mouth and go like, so I'd hear like every crunch of the crisp. And
Oh
then
God.
we only used to get bags of Walkers in Bronzefield, so it was about 5 crisps in there anyway. But it was like, it took her about an hour to eat the bag of crisps. That's what I felt like. But I was really trying to just sit there, and I was like, just calm down. She's nearly finished. Nearly finished. So that was difficult dealing with that. But yeah.
Yeah, that drive me nuts. Do you remember that Russian girl I was doubled up with on your wing? Was you there when because I got kicked off and I come back and she didn't watch TV. She didn't watch TV.
I don't
She,
remember.
I was like, no, we got to compromise, mate. I ain't playing Scrabble every night.
No, exactly. I mean, we'll have a game and then let me watch TV.
Yeah.
I know that is the worst. I used to share with someone as well that didn't like watching TV, that wanted to have the music on all the time. And I was like, I can't. Like,
No.
I love music, of course I do, but come the evening time, you just want to chill out, and you just want to. And I got to a point where I was watching every single soap on TV, every drama, and that would get me through my evenings. So I didn't want to be sitting listening to music and getting all in my feelings. Just let me watch a crime drama on the TV, and I'll be all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know. When you're locked in your cell, you've got to have your TV on.
Yeah,
It's nuts.
definitely.
So you didn't stay there, did you? So
No, so from Bronzefield, I got my recategorisation to open. So I went from Bronzefield to East Sutton Park, which is an open prison, and it's a working jail as well. So anyone that's there has to be working, whether it be on the prison grounds or out in the community. You would get a job. So yeah, I started working when I got there, just as I worked in reception, so anyone new that come in, I would go through the whole induction process with them, give them a tour, because East Sutton Park is a massive stately home, so it's not your average prison. So then you take them around the prison and go through, like for a week, I would be there with them, settling them in. And then from there, I worked for an organisation called Kenwood Trust, which is they had a youth team, and they had a program called Think Differently. So we would go into schools and colleges and give talks. We would do outreach work in the community. We would talk about our offences and just try and get them to make better choices, because obviously we don't want them to end up in the same situations that we found ourselves in, which I absolutely loved. And that was the first time that I had even considered youth work. Never in a million years have I thought I would be going down that path. But I just found it so rewarding, and coming away from it thinking, do you know what, I can now use my experiences to give back and to do good. And it doesn't all have to have been a waste. I can use that and do something positive from it. So that was
amazing.
really important for me, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry.
I worked for another company, because that was a voluntary job role. And obviously I needed to start saving money for rent and deposit, money for my release. So then I got into paid employment with Max Spillman. Excuse me, Max Spillman, you probably see them. They're in like the Tesco's, and they do the printing of the pictures. They print pictures and then they make like mugs and T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So then I started working with them for a while, and then they also got me a job in the area that I was released to, so I could continue working when I got out.
Oh, awesome. So you carried on doing that when you was
Yeah,
released. So
yeah,
did you
just so
get
then I
any?
had a job. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, did you do, just to sort of go back a little bit, did you get any other qualifications while you was in prison? Like what other jobs did you do?
Yeah, so I did. I learned how to make like coffees, cappuccinos, and lattes and all that. I did my level 1 in the gym. I got a I did a course in, they're called multi-skills, so that was in Holloway, painting and decorating, putting up pattern wallpaper, changing a tap, tiling, all those things.
Oh,
Always handy to know how to do. And I did that, and then I got my level 1 and 2 in hairdressing and in beauty. So
nice.
yeah, so I started doing hairdressing as well.
So
Mm.
there is a lot of jobs, isn't there? There is actually careers and stuff that you can make from being in prison.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. It's just about using your time wisely, and and there is the and obviously different prisons offer different courses as well. So if you do move around, you can kind of pick up different qualifications and hopefully get something to kind of at least give you something to leave with.
yeah, no, it's really good because a lot of people say there's not rehabilitation, there's this, there's that, but I actually think there is always rehabilitation. There's
Yeah, there is.
always room to better yourself and stuff. It just depends on you. If you
Yeah,
want to,
100%.
if you don't, then you'll say, no, there's nothing, nothing can help me. But that I don't, I'm against that. There is a lot of help and there is a lot of work you can do.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. I got invited to go back. In Bronzefield, they do an achievements day, so throughout the year, and then people would get certificates, and they held it on a day, and I got invited to go back and give a talk to to the women in Bronzefield, and that was my biggest message to them, was to just, while you're here, is to use your time wisely, and just explaining all the things that I had achieved since going to prison, being a part of lots of different things, and that wouldn't have happened if I went in there with a different mindset.
hmm.
If I didn't choose to get these qualifications or get involved and push myself, I was determined not to let me going to prison shape the rest of my life in a negative way. Um, so there is stuff on offer. You just got to be willing to take it.
That's it. You got to want to do it. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
that's amazing that they got you to go back. That must have been quite
Mm.
a buzz.
I was
So
so
go.
nervous. I was shaking, sweating. I was so nervous. Oh my God, it was I wish I didn't get that nervous. I don't know if it's because it meant so much, and then now that I was on the other side of the gate and that was
Yeah.
me, and now I was there standing giving a talk to them, I don't think I've been that nervous in such a long time.
No, I totally relate though. I'd done a talk, when I was doing the recovery mentor job,
Mm,
and I was forced to do a bloody speech. And
mm.
I'm doing this speech, and halfway through, I'm just like, I'm really nervous. I just said it out loud.
I said that to them as well.
And
I had to say, look, guys, I'm really nervous. I was shaking. My voice was
yeah, but I was
trembling.
like that. I don't know, like how I sit on here and talk, but then I think it's because there's not people in my face. But the minute
Yeah.
I know I've got to do something, oh my God, I feel sick. My heart's
Yeah, that
pumping,
definitely
the
comes of
sweat.
experience, public
Yeah,
speaking. Yeah.
100%.
Mm,
Just the same again, guys. I will go to any comments and stuff at the end of this. This is pre-recording from a YouTube channel, and I will tell you how to check it out, or just check out UK female UK ex-prisoner, whatever way around. So going back to ESP,
mm,
so I don't know if a lot of people know, but it is literally just a mansion, and that's it. There's literally
mm.
just a mansion, and there's
Well, that's not just it. There's acres of land, there's a farm,
no
there's
fence.
gardening, there's a farm shop, like there's
Well,
a
I
lot
went there to
going.
visit, and they didn't even search me, and I was like, "What the
No, they don't.
hell?" Like you just
Yeah,
drive up onto this land, and you walk into the back of a little farm bit, and you go like,
yeah.
"I was blown away." I was like, "What the hell?" Is it
Mm.
true that when you get there, the governor says to you, "If you're going to go, go now"? I've heard a rumor that when you get there, they say
I
that.
don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember
I
that. It
think you
might be.
would. I
I
think
might just
you
not.
would remember that because that's quite big, isn't it? Like, it's the governor going to say, right, if you're going to go, just go now. Like,
Yeah,
don't leave it while you've been here 2 months and then not come back. If you're going to
yeah.
go, there's no gates. Bye.
Yeah, because you can literally walk out. You can just
That's what
walk
I mean.
out.
It's just a
Mm,
mansion in a field. It's in the middle of
yeah,
nowhere.
mm,
Honestly, like I said, I was blown away when I went on a visit there. I was like,
yeah,
what the hell?
yeah. It was definitely experience. It was definitely probably a nice way to finish the remainder of your sentence for sure. And the food was amazing, well, in comparison to the food elsewhere. So that was great. And yeah, it was just kind of, yeah, just obviously there's still rules. Of course there are. There's always going to be, but um, it was obviously smaller. There's only 100 women. If it was at full capacity, so it's a smaller environment. But
Was it more
um,
was it more bitchy being
I
such a
felt like
small
it,
environment? 'Cause I
yeah.
heard a lot of rumours
And
about
it can be
ESP.
dangerous as well in terms of, yeah, people are spiteful. So, and when you're in that position, when you're going out to work, you're going on home leaves, you know, you've been given this responsibility to start like maintaining your family ties and stuff. People can be really malicious and can make things difficult for you, and you know, could put in a rumor and your rotters could get stopped, and you know, things like that. So it is, you're kind of still again like on eggshells a little bit because you just can't trust anyone.
Yeah, because that blew me away. That always, like, I can understand it. Like when I was in Sen doing my rottles, you've got girls that aren't going out, you've got lifers. So I understood. I don't understand it, but I kind of, you can to an extent that girls will try and mess your stuff up.
Mm,
Like they'll
mm.
make up lies. But when all of you are doing the same thing,
I
it
know,
it was like, oh, the rumors were it was worse there. Like it was like everyone was out to stab each other in the back and ruin it. But why?
I
Like you're
know,
all doing the same thing. Like you should all be pleased for each other. Just get on and do your sentence,
100%.
innit? Like, but it blows me away.
Yeah, but I think when you're not that way inclined, it's difficult to understand someone else's thought process and why they would do that. You know,
Yeah.
like why do you care? Why do you care enough? Why don't you just focus on yourself and do what you're doing? Why are you going to go out of your way to hurt someone else? Like, I don't understand it, but obviously I don't think like that. So,
Do you think there was a lot of drugs in prisons? Did you see a lot of drugs and stuff? Was there drugs going on in ESP?
yes, but more like prescription. People would take prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what that was the biggest thing in ESP was definitely prescription drugs.
Yeah, because I guess there you got piss tested
And you can
more.
have, yeah, and in ESP like you have your meds in possession.
Yeah.
So, you
Well, you
know
can
that,
just bring it in anyway. You can just walk in with it.
well,
There's
yeah,
not,
that too. Yeah, that's true.
that's. I
You
mean,
still would
if
get piss tests, you still get random piss tested and stuff,
yeah,
or if
but
there was
that's what you
intel,
mean.
you'd
So
get
they,
piss tested.
yeah, you would have got that more in open comparison to your normal prison. But like, what about in Bronzefield? Did you see a lot of pit drug users? Did you see like because obviously
Again, I
Spice was
saw
really bad.
yeah, Spice was really bad. That was bad in Holloway as well. I see quite a few people actually literally walking around off their nuts on the landing, ambulances turning up, people being carried out on stretchers. Saw that in Holloway. Um, and I remember I was in a cell once, I was padded up with a lifer, and she was already a lot for me because she was really untidy. Actually, not even just untidy, dirty. So it was
Mm.
already a lot that I was dealing with. And then I walked in my room one day and she was lining up a bit of Subutex that she had crushed up and was about to sniff. And I was like, no, 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 no. Do what you want outside of here, but do not bring that in here. Like I'm not having that in here. I'm not having that in the room with me. Um, I can't do it. And then she'd be like sleeping all the time, huffing and puffing when I had the TV on. But the whole thing that she did that in my cell, I was like, no, I'm not having it. No, sorry, no. Next thing you know, my cell's going to get spun, all that. And the thing is, because I know it's probably a bit hypocritical of me to even say, but I've never taken drugs. Like, and it's not something that I even want to see. Like, I don't like to see it. I know, like, people will be like, is this girl fucking serious? Like, obviously, with what my offence is, but like, like, I, it triggers me differently as well. So I don't want to. I didn't want to be around it. So I was quickly just like, I need to get out of here, and I ended up moving into
Yeah.
a different cell.
Everyone's
Mm.
allowed to feel how they feel. Like, did you see a lot of
Mm.
bullying and stuff? I've got a question on here asking, is there a lot of bullying and how do you have to act?
It does happen, of course it does. But I did find that a lot of women did kind of, people did kind of get together. There was that, there, I did find to a certain extent it was, what's the word, camaraderie? Is that what it was? That was kind of like the feeling that I would get a lot of the time. But also, of course, there's going to be people that are going to take advantage of other people, um, and people maybe just a little less vulnerable might have found it a bit more difficult. But yeah, it did happen.
Yeah, it depends on your character. I
Exactly.
don't.
Yeah.
I've done a video on it, like red flags, and how you need to go in, and you got to say no from the get go when they ask for. That's the first thing they'll
That's
ask for
what
is
they said
sugar.
to me.
They'll come
Mm,
in straight away and they'll ask for the sugar, and then it'll be something else, then it'll be liquid, and so
mm,
on and so on. So you just got to say no from the get go. Um,
mm.
I was going to say something like on mind blank.
I'd been in Holloway for like a day, or well, when I moved up to the other landing, I'd only been on there for a day. It was the following morning. I just got out the shower. I still had my towel on me. Just sat down on my bed. Some woman burst the door and was like, "Can I get a roll up?" I looked at her and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna laugh. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. You're coming to my room. I'm still sitting there in my towel, and you're asking me for a roll up." I said, "No, you can't. I don't smoke." Because them times I didn't smoke. I was like, "I don't smoke." And then she was like, "Well, can you ask your friend?" And then that was my Cody, because she was a smoker. And she was like, "No." She was like, "I am here, you know." So then she asked her and she was like, "No." She couldn't. So then, yeah, kind of from then, we never really, people obviously would ask every now and again, but
They just do, don't
yeah,
they? But that's the
yeah.
thing, is that's how even girls that aren't even bad, or that are not, they're not really anything. They'll come in with the front like that. They will just step in
Mm,
and go, "You got to roll up." They're all like that,
mm,
all like, "Yeah, I'm bad and I'm going to intimidate
mm.
you." But the minute you say no, or you give a little bit of attitude back, bang, they just back off and they shy
Leave
away.
you alone. Yeah,
They
100%.
test you. The minute you get into prison, when you're fresh meat, they will test you, like literally, and that is the first thing. They'll ask you for something, whether how small it is, and then the minute you give over and you hand over, that's it. Then you become like a victim. Then they will come to you all the time.
Mm,
So you
definitely.
literally have to say no. Yeah, yeah, I've seen it, especially living on the main blocks and stuff like that. Um,
Mm,
but I found, I don't know how you found it, like I feel like the lifers, I didn't really notice it so much in Bronzefield. It was when I went to Send. The lifers are really, really, really twisted.
mm,
Yeah, the lifers are they're just a different level. It's like they've all become your friends, and then the next thing you know, you find out, like, because I just, me, you're like, the same as you. We got on with everybody, didn't we? Like
mm,
literally, it didn't matter whether you were small, white, black, gang, whatever you was. We just ended up just getting on with everybody, and
mm,
I just lost my whole train of thought. Yeah, and it was the lifers. So the lifers would say stuff about me, and then literally the other girls would just come and tell me straight away. And it's
mm,
like, what the hell? Like, and then I thought, because you have conversations with him, you kind of think you're not friends, but you have a
mm,
normal conversation like we're having now. And the
mm.
next thing, you're doing all this madness to me. I didn't even know we were like, I didn't even know you hated me to my face. You literally kissed my ass, but behind my back, it's like, what the
Yeah,
hell? And then you realise that people are jealous. People are so jealous, like, of you, and then that's when you have to be really careful, and that's why
careful.
you've done a really wise thing. You kept yourself to yourself and you keep your circle small, and I advise that to anybody that goes into prison. Like, just keep your head down, hold your own, and just keep your circle small.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what advice would you give to anybody out there now that's literally in that kind of relationship, that caused you to land up in prison?
Um, that there's help out there. You know, there is a way out. Obviously, you have to do what is safe for you. and your situation, but there is obviously organizations out there that can help you put things in place, um and I think it's just finding that strength, to walk away, because if you are bound to someone through trauma, it is really difficult to get away from. But people who have it, try and reach out to someone who's gone through the same thing, that kind of understands what it is like, because someone who's not experienced it, they'll be like, just leave them, but it's not that simple. And but obviously there are people that do understand, which is why another reason why I started my TikTok was because I wanted to raise awareness for things like that. I wanted to have them conversations and to be able to talk to other women who were in a similar situation to what I was in, and to be able to help them, and give them some kind of comfort. But yeah, there is help out there, and just trying to find that, someone that you can trust and you can talk to, or a professional that can get you out of the situation safely before, it escalates to where you can't come back from.
Guys, Emily's TikTok is amazing. She's so good and supportive. So please give her a follow on TikTok. What's your TikTok name?
It's MEM_ from prison to purpose.
And when I put this up on YouTube, guys, the link will for her TikTok will be below. So please give her a follow and support her. She does do some amazing videos. So I was going to quickly should we do a few questions? I've got a few comments that have come through, and I've not sort of obviously responded to them just before we end it.
Yeah, we can do a few, but I need to go to the loo, so let's smash
All
them
right,
on.
guys. All right, quick. First 3 questions. Pop it for Emily if anyone's got any. No, nobody wants to talk now.
Hi, Dawn. By the way, I'm just doing this recording with Sam quickly.
Okay. Well, all right, no worries. I mean, we got someone said, "How come you moved to Sen?" I just got sick of Bronzefield. Someone asked how long you've been in prison for. So Emily served 4 years. I've served 3 years, 8 months. Right. Okay. So thank you, Emily, for what's Emily's TikTok? What was it again? Sorry, Emily.
M_ from prison to purpose.
I will be posting this video up on YouTube tomorrow. Her link will be below the video, so you will be able to find it on there. Emily, are you going to go live in a minute on your channel?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to jump on. Ellie's going to sit with me on it as well. So yeah, I'm just going to go loo, get a drink, and then I'm going to jump on live for half an hour or something.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so go check out Emily's channel. Right, thank you again so much. I appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure.
Always.